So let's start modeling our bear. Now this year I decided to simplify things a little bit. So we're going to change it up a little bit. Normally um, I don't do box modeling. I don't think it's the best way to go. But this year we're going to do something called box modeling. It's a little bit easier to grasp than what we've done in previous years, and I think it'll be a little bit quicker and probably a little bit easier to pick up. So I think we'll go with that route this year, but just so you know, there are other ways of modeling, other sort of techniques or ways of doing things, but I think this year I'm going to start doing a little bit more box modeling just because I think in the interest of time, it's just a little quicker to get going. So this is what I just did real quick. So it's sort of the start of the bear. I think hopefully this video will get this far and then we'll continue on. So with box modeling, what we usually do is start with a primitive object. So I'm just going to hide that. And so we start with a primitive object and just sort of bash it into the shape that we're looking for. So what we're going to do is start with the main body of the bear, and we're going to start with a cube. So I'm going to go create polygon primitive cube. You might want to think a sphere, but I think cubes are probably just easier to work with. So that's where we're going to start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch. So I'm holding spacebar and holding my right mouse button. I'm just going to switch to the front view. I find that's the easiest way to flip back and forth. And I'm just going to hit R to scale. I'm going to scale this box up just roughly the size of the bear's torso. Doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to hold spacebar, right click, and go to my right view. I'm actually going to turn this little guy on here. This is called X-ray, so I can sort of see through things. Helps me position whatever I need. And okay, I'm going to go back to my perspective view, turn X-ray off, and what I'm going to do now is actually, so I'm going to go to my move tool, I'm going to hit W for my move tool, I'm going to go to my symmetry settings, and I'm going to turn world X on. We'll see if that, yeah, that's the one I want. So now when I make changes to one side, it does it to the other. We'll be splitting this guy in half later on, but for now we'll just turn the symmetry on. It might help us speed things up a little bit. So now what I'm going to do is go back to my front, turn my X-ray back on, and looks like I need some division. So I'm going to use my edge loop tool, create edge loop, and I'm going to create an edge loop right down there. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go back to create multiple edge loops, put it on one, because I want them right smack dab in the middle. There we go. And flip back out. And now I can just start. So I'm in my component mode. I'm in vertices, and I'm just going to start. You can see this faint outline. We just want to match that up as best we can. That, and keep in mind too that these image planes, they don't match up perfectly. They're just a guide, right? They're just a guide. They by no means are supposed to match up perfectly from front to side. So I need another division. I'm just going to put it back on relative or equal, and I'm going to put one there. Go back to my move tool. I'm going to pull that out there. Pull that out there, and bring that down a bit, and I think I'll put another one there. You want to keep this really, really light for as long as possible, so probably don't need any more divisions than that right now. Okay, I'm going to flip back to my front view, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to sort of match up this outline, this silhouette here. Pull that up a little bit. we go. And bring that right in. Bring that up. Something like that for now, and we'll flip back out to perspective and just see how we're looking. Doesn't look like much yet. You still need to round a few things out. So now we can start. So it's pretty good from the front side. It's getting there, right? So now we sort of have to interpret things on our own. I'm going to put one loop down this. I'm going to use relative distance, and I'm going to put that there. And now I can start interpreting this a little bit more. So actually I'm going to delete these top faces. I don't need those. So I'm going to start bringing this in and sort of giving the bear a little bit more shape. But this is where it starts coming up to you. I can't really tell you this part step by step. This is going to be up to your own interpretation, really. Trying to get it as close to that bear model as possible. But I'm going to start rounding these shapes off here, like so. And we're really just pulling points right now. And because I've got it on symmetry, it kind of helps out with seeing what's going on both sides. Okay, so that's looking a little bit better. Starting to see a little bit more of the shape. Maybe pull that in a little. Something like that. Alright, let's see how we're looking. Still maintaining the silhouette, which is good. What we're going to start having to do now is think about our line flow and where we're going to insert the areas for the arms and the legs. So I think we're not doing too bad, but I want to take a look at that in the front. Start thinking about where these openings are for the legs and arms. I think I pulled that way too far. So what I'm looking for is sort of making a entrance or a hole so I can extrude out the arms and legs, which can be a bit tricky. So from the front, so basically I have to make a hole starting here, it goes to there. So pull that down a little bit. We're sort of on track though. Pull that in. A lot of trial and error. Bring that down. Okay. And I also want to make sure that I'm maintaining this as on the z-axis perfectly, so make sure I type in x0 there. Okay, so let's just try this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn my symmetry off for a sec. And I'm going to take these shapes here and for my leg, and what I'm going to do is hit the extrude button. Then just like before we did in previous classes, I'm going to click one of these cubes or the scale handles, just click it once, and then this one in the middle is going to show up, and I just want to pull that in, scale it uniformly, just like that. So I have this nice ring this loop that goes around, and then I'm going to hit W, then I'm going to hit G, which is extrude again. And then I'm going to hit our power ball here, and I'm going to pull that leg straight down. A little trick here too is look how uneven that is, but if I scale in the axis I'm looking for, it'll actually start to flatten it right out. So I'm going to hit W, get out of my extrude tool, and take a look at the front, and I'm pretty close, so I'm just going to move that leg there, and just going to pull that over a little, straighten this out a little bit, something like that, and let's go back to our perspective view. And yeah, I mean, it's a little bit cube-like, so we can start sort of evening this out. Pull that in, sort of rounding out the leg so it's not so cube-like. So it's more round, like a normal leg. You could probably even add one division right here as well. And then, whoops, go back to our front view, and then I can sort of pull that in there, up. Sort of trying to maintain the silhouette of our character here. Not too bad. Okay. And we can actually go ahead and delete these faces here. And that's pretty good. I think that's a good starting point at the very least. You can tell, yeah, there's a leg coming out of there. So there's our opening for our leg. Might want to delete the history, so I'll go edit, delete by type history. And let's start looking at the arm. So what I want to do is put a loop right at the top here so I can have a little bit of extra here for the neck before the arm goes out. And I think I'll go ahead and put a loop right there, right at the base of the arm. And let's just take a look. Yeah, okay, so we'll probably extrude the arms out from these two holes. So we'll do the exact same thing. We'll go like that. We'll select those two faces, and we'll hit our extrude tool. And then I'm going to click on one of these boxes just once. And that enables the uniform scale, so I can pull that in. And now I've got this nice ring separating our body from the arm. And what I can do is, like, there's a perfect loop right there. So that's good line flow. That's what we want. And now I can just select those faces again and hit extrude. I think I'll hit the power ball so we go straight out. And just like before, I can sort of flatten that out by using the scale handle. Like that. And we're not too far off from the silhouette. But we definitely got some work to do. And start adjusting things, evening them out. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, so it's pretty boxy, but we can start changing that right now. We just sort of use the silhouette as a guide. Helps us position things and do like an sort of initial placement. We might want one more loop. I think we probably do. Right along there. Pull that down. And pull that down. Let's see how we're looking in the silhouette. Yeah, we're getting a little bit off track, but that's okay. Maybe I'll turn my X-ray on so I can kind of see where we're going off track a little from our silhouette. It's kind of nice with the X-ray mode because I can adjust the vertices in the back as well. Just pulling points, all I'm doing. All right. Make this a little more rounded. And we can work on the back a little bit. A lot of it's up to your own interpretations as well. So if your bear does not wind up looking exactly like this one, that's okay. We're just looking for the right sort of structure. Sorry, I don't mean to get all Bob Ross. That looks pretty good. Let's just delete our history. Delete by type history. And I'm going to hit 3 just to see what it looks like smoothed. It's coming along. It's definitely not terrible. Actually kind of like it a little bit better than the original. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll pause it here. Actually, before we go any further, what I want to do, I think, is just delete that half there. So we're just going off course a little bit here, but we will flip it back over. Okay, so I think that's about all I'm going to do for this video, and we'll pick up in the next one. Just sort of so we can break it up a little bit. All right.